Step 11 is to finish off this waistband here. I had way too much elastic for my waistband, so I've adjusted it to what I want. And it looks like, feels like my elastic is twisted, so I'm going to make sure it's flat. Fix that. And I am going to just cut off all the excess except for that inch overlap that I want. And then I'll take a pin, and it says to secure the ends of your elastic by sewing them. So that's what we're going to do. Doesn't want to line up here very nicely. Let's fix this. Straight would be helpful. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to kind of pull your elastic out so you have enough that you can actually like sew, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to go up each side of this elastic. So you're going to line it up so that you're on the inside of the elastic just a tiny bit. Get your needle down, and then you can pull out your pin while keeping it straight. And you're just going to sew down each side of the elastic. You can also, if you want, you can rotate it and sew the ends up as well, which I'm going to do. So you're making a square, and then gotta move this to the other side. Make sure it's flat. Oh, I can go farther down than that. There we go. There's my other end. Rotate. It's a little bit tricky because the pants kind of get in the way, but now you have a nice square around your elastic opening. Okay, cut your extra threads, and now your elastic isn't going to come apart. So now you're going to evenly distribute if you can, and we're going to sew this closed. So you're going to have to, in order to sew this section closed, you're going to have to stretch your elastic to make it nice and flat. So we'll go where we were before. Put your needle down, and you're going to make sure you follow this edge right along where you were, so you're not sewing through your elastic, but you want to stretch your elastic so that your fabric is nice and flat. And then we're going to meet up with the line on the other side, reinforce our seam there, and now we have a completely enclosed waistband. Now you can evenly distribute these. Mine's pretty much evenly distributed. If you can see, my gathering is pretty much the same all the way around through all the sections. Now we have this ugly basting here that we did in order to thread the elastic through. So what you'll do is you'll take your seam ripper. Yours might look slightly different than mine. Mine's a big honking one, and you're just gonna pick out this seam. The hardest part is, for me, is the knots at the beginning, and it should be super easy to pick out these basting marks because we did really long stitches. All you're going to do is you're just going to pick out these long stitches, and you could even say I want to end it right here. You should just be able to pull the whole thing straight out. So if you get these knots, for me that's going to be harder to get out because my machine automatically does the knots. There we go. And the rubber end of your seam ripper is to like rub the threads out, that way you don't see them. See, I've got one right here because it's connected to the back. Okay, so I'm just picking out these long seams, long stitches I guess I should say. I'll go ahead and cut one here, and then I should just be able to pull it all the way out. And I need to get my knots out. Yeah, when you're basting, you don't need to reinforce the beginning and the end. There we go. So now we don't have that ugly basting stitch that we had before. So you're just going to do that for every single one of your basting stitches for all of your seams. So we'll next go to this one. And then we'll, these are my excess that I did from, see if we can pull it like that. Now we gotta open up a little more. There we go. Sometimes the bobbin thread will come through. You just snip that. Yeah, it seems kind of weird to have to take out a stitch that you put in, but it's for convenience when you're doing the elastic, and since you did a really wide stitch, it comes out nice and cleanly, nice and easily. I'll do a couple more of these, and then you can just pull it, and the bobbin threads come through, so I just cut that. Inside doesn't matter as much, you're not going to see that. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Right here. Bobbin thread, snip that. A couple of those. Snip it on the back, pull it all the way through. Some more bobbin thread. Okay, do this other side. Snip it on the back and just pull it out. Another bobbin thread. Okay, and the last one is right here. There should be 4 of them. Well, 4 seams, so there'll be 8 total. Snip that bobbin thread. Snip it on the back side. It's kind of long. I don't know if we can pull this one through. There we go. Very nice. Still want to come out. There we go. Pull that out. Okay, now all of our seams, the base stitches have been taken out. Now we don't want our, let me snip my closures there. We don't want our elastic to twist up when we wash it and wear it. You know how annoying it is to have something with elastic and it starts to like roll. So what you're going to do, once you have it evenly distributed at each one of these seam lines, you're going to just sew through the entire thing from your stitch point to the end. So that way that your elastic can't ever roll. So you're just going to stitch in the ditch is what it's called, because you're stitching in the ditch of this pant seam that we already have created. So just start at the top, and you're going to want to go really slow because it's super thick and your machine usually doesn't like things that are super thick to go through. Okay, we've stitched through all 4 layers plus the elastic. And now that'll keep the elastic from moving around, and it'll also keep the elastic from twisting. You're going to do that to all 4 of your seam lines. And if you don't make it perfectly in the ditch in that seam, side seam of your pants, that's okay. Like, that is a skill that takes quite a while to master. It's a quilting skill. You stitch in the ditch a lot when you're quilting. Just try as best as you can to get it right inside of that seam. Okay, that's 3. I don't want to cut lately. And I just snip my extra threads. And yes, you will reinforce the beginning and the end of this stitch, always, unless you're doing a basting stitch. Got stuck under there. All right, that is step 11, and now your entire waistline is completed, and it should fit you great. If not, you should have adjusted it before you sewed it up in step 10.